Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're going to be answering a question that I see pop up, I feel like far too often in the PSO2 like channels. And like I've seen it in Discord, I've seen it pop up in streams, it's just all over the place. People ask, how do I increase my battle power? So today, I'm going to talk about why that question actually doesn't matter in the slightest if you're playing correctly. I know it's going to seem a little bit antagonistic, but it's not intended to be. Hold on, put your pitchfork down, and I'll explain in just a moment. But before we jump to that, if you're new here, as always, I'm Chrono. I primarily cover PSO2 content. Would much appreciate a subscribe. It's working towards that 10K mark, hopefully, by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. So, if you're starting PSO2, and you're playing and you're thinking to yourself, man, I want to get in this specific piece of content. How do I increase my battle power? The reason why that question really doesn't apply and why that question really isn't important for you is because if you can't get into a piece of content currently in the game, you're fundamentally missing or doing something incorrectly. I'm going to show you how that actually works out, because they have very cleverly set the game up in a way where if you're paying attention to what the screen is telling you, I mean quite literally what the game is telling you to do, you will always have enough battle power and you will always have the materials to make sure that you have enough battle power. So recently we went through and we leveled through the entire game from fresh account all the way to end game without doing anything that we know how to do, only with what the game told us to do. So specifically, we made sure to just not follow any of our own logic. If it wasn't something the game said specifically to do, we did not do it. And what we found is that PSO2 takes you through everything you need to do. There are some things that could have been better. There are some things that could have been shown earlier, but as far as what you need to complete the game from start to finish, they hand you every material that you need. They hand you every piece of gear that you need. You don't have to purchase a single thing at all through the entire process. And if you're ever thinking to yourself, man, I got stuck and I was missing something, you may or may not have used a resource somewhere you were not supposed to and completely missed when they gave you that resource and told you how to use it. So when people ask what's the best thing to do for a new player, or how, what advice can you give me as a new player? Read the prompts that pop up on your screen. I promise you, it's annoying and it seems like very tedious, but it will tell you everything that you need to know about the game. And if for some reason a prompt pops up in a very annoying spot and you completely miss it, it still exists. It's right here. All of them, they are all right here. You know how I know this? There's one for battle power. And the cool thing about the battle power one specifically is if you go into battle power 2, it tells you whenever this pops up. So this comes up when you hit your first battle power gate, and it tells you exactly what you need to get past that battle power gate. And it gives you the exact tools you need to get past that battle power gate. Now with the way the game's currently set up, this pops up, but then you immediately passed it because they give you a set of gear that lets you go right past it already. So you don't have to do any of these things specifically here. Now granted, they give you quests while they walk you through doing these things anyway. You don't have to do them. You could technically skip them, but you just wouldn't be continuing your quest line that they put in front of you. So theoretically, I guess that could happen for someone, that's fine. But like they quite literally give you the materials, they have you go over there and they have you actually upgrade your gear and they have you add an augment to it. So all of those things happen and they tell you then exactly, if you're not at this point, this is what you need to do to get there. And this isn't the only time this happens. It happens again in Redum. and there's another point where they're like, hey, do these things to make sure you get past the battle power gate. I think this actually is still in Alio, and I think this next one is in Redum. I think this one specifically is in Redum. Yeah. So this happens multiple times throughout the actual story where they tell you, and they do give you the resources to complete these tasks. They give you the money, they give you the augment capsules, they give you the armor, they give you the weapons, they give you everything. And they tell you what affects your battle power. So we're going to talk about how you can make sure you have your battle power where it's supposed to be. So there are 3 major components that'll affect your battle power. That's your level, your skill points, and your gear. Now, your level, if you're playing currently when this video is being recorded, is not even a problem. At level 20, they give you a ticket that will let you go from level 20 to level 87 immediately. So you just skip the leveling process basically. Not that you need to, because you quite literally will level through doing the story just as fast. By the time you hit the end of the game, even without using that pass, you will be max level or at least very close to it. but you can also just use that ticket to jump that leveling process and essentially put yourself in a position where it's much easier for you to do stuff. I don't recommend it. I'd recommend maybe saving it for another class to level or something along those lines if it were me personally, because it doesn't really make much sense that you have to go through the story to unlock things anyway. So it's not like by jumping in level, you're going to skip over a bunch of stuff. Like, you're going to be doing things you needed to do regardless. And all that experience is going to just go back into your same class. So it's up to you how you decide to use that ticket. If it's still available at the time that this video goes live, or at the time that you're watching this video. But at least at the time this video goes live, it is available, and I'm holding on to mine personally. So level, that's the first portion. That's the first component. The second component is your skill points. Now, skill points are something that you gather from doing cocoons, and these cocoons are available all over the map. If you're like, I don't know where these cocoons are at, well, first off, you can pause the video and just look at my map because I have them all here and I mark a bunch of other stuff. But you can also do this. I just Googled NGS map and I found an interactive map, map.pso2.ru, shows all the cocoons. Just make sure you're doing all your cocoons. The reason for it is because every time you complete a cocoon, it gives you skill points just for completing it. Doesn't matter if you do the side tasks or not. You don't have to do any of the side missions. You can just complete it and you'll get a skill point. Do all of them. What I actually recommend would be do story in the region, then go gather all the cocoons and towers, because the towers are included as well. They give you 4 skill points. Gather all cocoons and towers, get all your skill points, then move on to the next region, then do the story, then gather all your cocoons and towers. The next region, story, cocoons and towers. By the time you're done, you have all your skill points, you get all the BP you could ever need, you're good to go there. The second part about skill points is you need to allocate your skill points. Even if you're not sure of where to allocate them, put them in something. Get skill points, even if you're guessing. The cool part is right now they made it so you can reallocate your skill points completely for free. It doesn't cost you anything. It used to be a pay to win thing. They made it completely free. Fantastic change. However, if you don't have your skill points allocated, so let's see if we just do this. Right, so we have 4 skill points out. You'll find that our battle power has gone down. If I reallocate my skill points, suddenly my battle power is back up again. So make sure you allocate your skill points, even if you're not sure, and that counts for main class and your subclass. That is both main class and subclass. All right, so we've got leveling taken care of. You've got skill points taken care of. Last portion of it is your gear. So now, I'm sure many of you guys know, by hitting level 65, they give you an entire free set of gear. Ignore my tasks. I got a lot of those. Ignore those. That's gonna be a different video. But they give you a free set of level 90 gear. And what you'll find is that we have 4119 battle power. That is just being level 90. That is having all of our skill points in. And that is having the free gear equipped that they give you. Now, it's important to note that if you're not using the free gear, maybe you move past it, right? Increasing the level of your armor, the augments on your armor, increasing the level of your weapon, the augments on your weapon, and the potential level all attribute to your battle power. So all the, like your fixa doesn't, but all of your augments, as well as the level of your gear, attributes to your battle power. So if you're someone, let's say, who is moving on past the freebie gear that they give you, which you should, please move on past the freebie gear, even if you're actually doing like a super budget setup, which if you are, hold on, where is it? We made a video showing on a really budget setup. You can use that. That's totally fine. Just grab an Aerodim, maybe some of the new armors. They're very cheap, very cheap. And you're like, oh, well, what about upgrading them? We talk about how you can upgrade them and make it super cheap for you to upgrade. So literally fabricating weapon experience. This works for armor as well to a degree, but like I said, get that upgraded, get yourself out of that. It's a pretty big difference. If you're like playing on an alt on like a different ship, it's understandable, but like if this is your main character and you're using this armor for more than a week, there is a problem. There is a fundamental issue. But either way, you want to make sure that you upgrade your gear. You get your weapon to plus 90, you get your units at least to 81. Even if you don't push your units to 90, getting them to 81 is going to be really good, because that's where you get yourself an extra slot in your augments. And your augment slots are extremely important even if you're not fully sure what to put in your augment slots, like use the freebie gear as kind of an example. It's not a bad example, it's a decent one, but use the freebie gear as an example and fill out your augment slots. I've seen people run around with gear that just, they have nothing in their augments. This is a huge, huge throw, not only from a damage perspective, but from a battle power perspective. If you're trying to get BP and you have, open augment slots, like there's augments that are literally, I want to say worthless, but they're worth so little and you get so much out of them. There's tons of LC augments. There's tons of augments now that are worth less than 5k that give you a good amount of damage. Fill out your augment slots on your weapon and your armor. There's no excuse for not having that done. It is pennies if you're going for very budget setups. And the crazy part about doing all of those things is if you look at us 4119, we can get into every piece of content in the entire game. And all we did was max level, get all of our skill points and use the free gear. The only thing we can't get into is Planet Breaker rank 2, which is currently the hardest content in the game. It's the highest level. Granted, we're gonna move past this very soon, but like this is the highest level content in the game. You can do everything else with the free gear they hand you. So if you're max level, you've completed your story and you're asking yourself, I don't have enough battle power. How can I get more battle power to do something? You're fundamentally doing something incorrect. You should at the very least have somewhere near 4100 battle power. And if for some reason you're thinking to yourself, well, I need to get more battle power to do that difficult content. I want to do this content here. You should not be asking yourself, how can I get more battle power? You should be asking yourself, how can I gear myself up to be able to make sure I'm doing enough damage to actually clear this piece of content? I have enough survivability and I can do enough damage to, contribute to the 4-man group that I'll be in, that we actually are able to clear this content. If you're gearing yourself in that way, you will have enough battle power. You do not need to ask yourself about like getting battle power increases. The game is set up in a way that you never have to worry about your battle power. Honestly, battle power is just a flex for those of us who are like highly geared. That's it. Outside of that, I know a lot of people use battle power as like to say where they are in the game or something along those lines. It completely does not matter. It really does not. And I don't mean that in a way of like, oh, your battle power is pointless or anything like that. What I mean it is in a way that like, it doesn't really define you or your power as a player. It lets us flex at high levels, but that's really about it. Everything else is just going to be your potency and actually building up yourself properly. And that covers everything. Hopefully this helps out if you're someone who's been looking at how to increase your battle power or what you should be doing or what you should be working on. At the end of the day, the game gives you all the tools you need to succeed. You just gotta know to use them. That's it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video. So if you want to keep up with more. Thanks to channel members. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you all next time. Take care, my friends. Peace out.